Happy Thanksgiving, everyone in the VC. Just checking in. I hope you have a good holiday. Hope you have family and or friends to spend it with. A lot of people don't, so be sure to keep those people in your thoughts as you enjoy the day, and I hope it's a good one for you. So I'm checking in. I'm going to talk about something today that I'm about a month late on because a lot of other people have already checked in on this topic and given their thoughts, but better late than never, maybe. So what I'm going to do today is give my, I guess, first impressions on the new Ringo album, a month-old Ringo album. What's My Name? I got this when it came out, but I've been so busy with work that I didn't. I think it was probably a couple of weeks before I ever got a chance to put it on the record player and listen to it. And I've listened since then a handful of times. I think I've listened to it enough to get a pretty good feel for it. This will be kind of a first impressions, kind of a review. May come back sometime in the future and do a more in-depth review. We'll see, maybe not. But I have done all the Ringo albums up to this point, so I wanted to get this in before I move on to the John Lennon albums. And mixed reviews on this. I've heard some people that don't like it, but I've heard quite a few that do, and I've heard quite a few people say this is kind of a something special Ringo album, that they like this more than anything he's done in quite some time. And I've even heard some people say that this might be in their top five, top three Ringo albums. So a lot of good things being said about it. There's some people that don't like it too, of course. It's I tend to agree that it's something special. I really like this album from the get-go, and each time I play it, that's the feeling it stays with me. So this is obviously, if you're one of those that just doesn't really care for Ringo, this is probably not going to change your mind. But as I said, on every one of those Ringo reviews I did, so it's got very repetitive, but if you're one of those that thinks that Ringo never did anything worthwhile past the Ringo album, give this a listen, and you might be surprised. So I think the shame of it is this came out in October 25th or so, got to about number 125 in America, so the typical chart action of Ringo albums of the last 30 years or so. Unfortunately, this is one of those that had it come out in the 70s, I think it would have been a big hit. I think several of the songs, two or three of the songs, maybe would have been hit singles. And I think if this were to have gotten exposure, that probably quite a few people would like it. Fortunately, that's probably not going to happen. But I think it's a good album, and we'll get into the songs. I will say there's not a dog on this album with one exception, but we'll get to that. So let's go. Here's the cover, which is your usual boring, bland Ringo cover. Ringo standing by a wall, peace sign, sunglasses, Starr somewhere in the background. Blah. He's getting old. He needs to get a new designer for his album covers, but he really has not had any album covers that are interesting to speak of since the 70s, maybe the early 80s. But anyway, there's the back. Nothing exciting there. And inner sleeve, I should have brought the record, but it's back on the turntable, and that's in another room. Here's the inner sleeve. That's got the song titles, who plays what, who wrote what, all that good stuff. And then you've got this sort of odd picture of Ringo looking like a second-rate musician, advertisement poster for a magician, not a musician, playing a residency in Vegas. Kind of strange there. But anyway, what else about this? I don't know. Let's just get into the songs, and I'll give my thoughts on them. I did not... a couple of these came out early before the album online, and I purposely went out of my way not to listen to them because I like to come to an album new and fresh and not having known anything, and just let it surprise me for good or bad. So I went out of my way not to hear that. I did inevitably hear a couple of songs on the Beatles channel before the album came out. One of them I really liked, one of them I didn't like so much. The one that I didn't like so much, I've sort of come to like since then, but we'll get to that. Trying to think of anything else to say about this, but my argument on the reviews again was just going back and repeating myself again, but the people that think that Ringo is nothing past the Ringo album and it don't come easy, and my argument was some of these later albums that yes, they have some just flat out bad songs. Yes, the peace and love songs can grow tiresome, as can the Hey, I Was in the Beatle songs and the songs that reference a Beatle lyric or a song title or Rory and the Hurricanes or Liverpool or blah, blah, blah. But these, most of his albums have at least a handful of good tracks on them, and some of them have some really good tracks on them. And even some of these later albums that long past the point when anybody pays attention to Ringo other than hardcore Beatle fans, and even some of them quit paying attention to Ringo. There's still some good stuff on, some really good stuff on here, I think, and stuff that's up there as good as the stuff on the Ringo album. Again, you know, he's not George, John, or Paul or whatever, but he's very good in his own right and worth the effort to listen to some of this stuff, I would say. Anyway, so first song on side one is Gotta Get Up to Get Down, which is a song that he wrote with Joe Walsh, his brother-in-law. Starts off the album in high, great fashion. Just a great wah-wah pedal rocker of a song. Some people, this kind of spoken interlude, which comes from Joe Walsh, have said it's Joe Walsh rapping. To me, it sounds more like kind of a funk, like a funkadelic Sly Stone type sing style of singing, talking more than rap. Either way, it works. I mean, it's then you've got the really great keyboard, sounds like Billy Preston. Unfortunately, of course, it's not because he's no longer with us. But just great keyboards, just a great opener, really good soulful rocker, a lot of power, a lot of energy. And I'm going to give the opening track a 10. I love that song, and that just kicks off the album in style. Then we go to the second song, It's Not Love That You Want. First couple of listens sounded sort of just like generic Ringo, this kind of song that litters a lot of his albums, just kind of sound-alike things. But it grew on me after a few listens. Pretty good song. It's not hit single material. It's definitely an album cut, but it's a good album cut and a nice upbeat song, which I'm going to give it a 7, which pretty much, trying to think, maybe I know one exception, but most of these songs are very upbeat and positive and filled with energy and fun. So it's not a downbeat album, and that helps a lot, I think. But we'll get to the one that's a little less upbeat here in a minute. So yeah, It's Not Love That You Want, just a good solid rocker. I'll give it a 7. And while I'm thinking about it, the last, I don't know, several 5, 6 or more albums, pretty much Ringo wrote all the songs on them, co-wrote them, whereas a lot of his 70s albums he co-wrote some stuff and then had a lot of other songs that people wrote for him. This one takes a different track in that you have several songs that are written by other people and or are covers, but you also still have quite a few Ringo songs that he co-wrote with people. And so that brings us to number 3, Grow Old With Me, which was, of course, a song John Lennon wrote. Lennon demoed it, never got to finish it out, unfortunately, because we all know what happened. There's some people say that Lennon maybe wrote this with Ringo in mind, wrote this for Ringo to sing, like Nobody Told Me was supposed to be a Ringo song. And then some people say, no, that's not true. I don't really know. I mean, I could see John writing this for Ringo, but I could also see John writing this for just supposed to be about him and Yoko and let's grow old together type song. So I guess it really doesn't matter in the end. But first time I heard this on the Beatles channel, probably a couple of weeks before the album came out. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't crazy about it. I thought I've heard the John version, the demo, which I like. The Ringo version sounded on the first listen just sort of draggy and maudlin and a little too saccharine. But when I got the album and I played it, so it'd been the second time I heard it, I thought, well, hey, this is pretty good. And each time I hear it, it grows on me, and it's heartfelt and meaningful. So I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8. And I think that it's interesting because who knows what, if John would have recorded it properly, how his version would have turned out. But it's just interesting because you're looking at John was 40 when he wrote it, and looking at this grow old with me sentiment from the perspective of a 40-year-old. And now you have Ringo, who's almost 80, singing it from the perspective of someone that actually is old. So kind of the juxtaposition between the two. And Paul is on here. He plays bass and he does backing vocals, but you really can't hear, or I really can't hear him in there. I guess if I listen to it on headphones, maybe I'll be able to pick him out. There's the other song that I really like, and I just went blank on the name. That's a Paul and Ringo where they sing together, when Paul's vocals are a lot up front on one of the albums, a couple albums back. But Grow Old With Me, yeah, it's a little saccharine, but it rings true, so I'm going to give it an 8. All right, now we come to the fourth song on side 1, and I've talked about this before. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if Ringo's doing this in just coincidence, or I don't know if he's doing this on purpose, trying to see if anybody notices or catches on. Fourth song is called Magic, which is not the old Cars song. It's a song written by Ringo and somebody else. Totally different lyrics, totally different song. But you go back to the album before this, Give More Love, there's a song called Shake It Up, which is not the Cars song, totally different song, just has the same title. You go back to Postcards, there's a song called Touch and Go, which is not the old Cars song, yada, yada, yada. And you go back to 2012, there's a song called Think It Over. So what's with all these borrowing old Car songs? I don't know what Ringo's up to there. Anyway, Magic, like I said, is not the Cars song. Magic, it's a Ringo song. It's okay. It's kind of got the bluster of a Queen song, and kind of got the feel of a cheesy latter, mid to late 80s song. But yet, it's still all right. Definitely an album track. Okay song. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6.5. Then we go to the song that everybody that I've heard talking about the album just despises. It's a cover of Money, the old Berry Gordy song, the Motown song that Barrett Strong had a hit with. And, of course, the Beatles did a version of it, and a ton of other people have done versions of it. And then in the 80s, we had the Flying Lizards did sort of the new wave version of it, all of which were great. The Barrett Strong one, the Beatles, the Flying Lizards, love them all. The Beatles probably be my favorite. Barrett Strong's pretty close there. But everyone hates the Ringo version, which is closer to the Flying Lizards than it is to the Beatles version. Got the unfortunate presence of godless auto-tune on it. Sounds like, I don't know, Cher doing her Vegas act, or what was that god-awful song that she had that had the auto-tune back in the 90s, the If You Believe or whatever. Kind of some shades of that. And everybody's down on the song and said, this is embarrassment, this is just terrible. And it does have a lot of auto-tune and weird mess going on here. And yet, because I had heard all this song sucks, so I was expecting the worst. And when I heard it, I thought, well, it is saying the Beatles money, and it's not greatness, but it's not that bad. I mean, it's all right. It's kind of goofy fun, slightly 80s new wavy sort of kind of, except with auto-tune on it, which should be capital offense and outlawed. But you know, it's silly, stupid, goofy, and fun, and I don't mind it. It's upbeat. It's silly. I'm gonna give it a 6. You know, why not? Nothing great. Probably should give it a 5, but since everyone else is ganging up on it, I'm going to be nice and give it a 6. So then we go to side 2 of the record, and that starts with Better Days, which is written by Sam Hollander, one of the guys that plays with Ringo. Fun song, too. This is a great one. Just sort of a pedal of the metal, upbeat, shouty thing of a song that just oozes positivity and glad tidings. And it's a jump around and do Pete Townsend Windmills song when you're listening to it. And fun, just good rocker, upbeat song. I like Better Days, and I'm going to give that a 10. Second song is Life is Good, which kind of has the odd sensation of sounding like a lot of sort of generic Ringo albums of recent years, and yet it sort of doesn't at the same time. It's got a nice full sound to it. Another one that's definitely not a go-to song or hit single potential, just a album track. A little bit of a filler, but for filler, it's pretty good filler. And it's a good song, upbeat, positive song again. I kind of like it. Nothing great, but I like it. I'm going to give that a 7. Third song is Thank God for Music, and this is the I did hear this one on as well as the Grow Old with Me. I did hear Thank God for Music on the Beatles channel like 2 or 3 days before the album came out. Hit me right away. I loved it. Just fell in love. It reminds me of That's Why God Made the Radio by the Beach Boys from back in 2012, which is also a great song. I don't know if that's Ringo heard that song and that's where he got the idea for this or not, but maybe not. But yeah, it's just a celebration of the love of music and the wonder of music. And production's a little crowded at times, but I'm going to give it a 10. Love it. The fourth song is Send Love, Spread Peace, which you knew there was no way. Hold on a second. I'm not going to quit the video just for that. That was the timer on my phone. Sorry about that. Send Love, Spread Peace. We don't get a country song on this album, which is surprising, but you knew there was no way you're going to get out of a Ringo album without the obligatory Peace and Love Man song. This is it. It's okay. He's done worse in this area. Maybe he's done better, but it's not terrible. I give it a 5. Album ends with the title track, What's My Name, which is the dog of the bunch in my opinion. Good-natured, goofy fun if you would do this live, audience participation and all. But as far as something to listen to at home on CD or on vinyl, it's just a dumb song. I never was a big fan of the self-referential songs because they rarely work. I guess the best examples where they do work would be, the Monkees theme, Hey Hey We're the Monkees, and Clash City Rockers by the Clash, or something like I'm the Greatest off the Ringo album. This is no I'm the Greatest. I give it an extra point just because it sounds like they're having a party and having fun recording it, and it's upbeat, rollicking music, but song kind of sucks. And so What's My Name, and that ain't Peace and Love, that's a 2. That's what that gets for me. But overall, the album, I like it. I've got it on vinyl, and I think I might even get it on CD because this sounds like something I could listen to in my car going to work. I'm going to give it a 7.8, and that's what I think about What's My Name album. I haven't listened to it, I don't know how many times now, 10 or so. Like I said, maybe come back with a full review someday. We'll see. But I'm moving on to John Lennon albums, and got some other videos I might try to make today. I've got stuff to do because of the holiday and Record Store Day tomorrow, and but I got some more videos I want to make. But anyway, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Eat lots of turkey and dressing, and watch lots of football and all that good stuff. Take care.